Do you work with entrepreneurs all over the States, or do they have to be physically located in New York to work with you?
Oh no, honestly, I don't know. If my clients, it's like about 60 to 70%. I would say 70% of my clients walked right by me. I wouldn't know who they are. I get a lot of clients from all over the country. And I've come to a point where people don't even believe when I tell them I don't even have to go to my office, because no one has the time, or they don't want to meet with me. So they rather just send me a check, or send me money by Venmo and have me do the work, which is fantastic, because I don't have to spend that time to do the meeting, and I can just delve right into doing the work, which means I have clients from literally everywhere, even overseas.
And your bio mentions that you became an attorney specifically to work with small businesses and startups.
Yeah.
How did you wind up in the pet industry, or focusing on the pet niche?
So I was working, when I started my practice, I didn't go right into the pet industry. I didn't even realize that's something you can do, honestly. So I was working with a whole, array of industries when I started. And then I started thinking about the long-term effects of a legal profession. It's not always fun.
Yeah.
Sorry to burst that bubble, but yeah, it's not always fun. So I needed to, find something that would still allow me to have some fun and something that I am passionate about. And, I thought hard, and I realized, I really love spending time with my dog. And okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean? So I started, just figuring out where people in the pet industry would gather, and I started talking to them and just seeing if that's something that I can go into, because a lot of small pet businesses exist in New York City where my office is, right? So people are, even if they don't have a LLC or anything in place, they still like to make treats and give them out as gifts even before they even start their own business. So I thought, hey, there's a great spot here. Even if they don't hire me as their attorney, they can at least get some good information before they start feeding things to dogs, which may or may not be harmful. And what they're really on the hook for here, because if you injure someone's pet by giving them a treat that you thought was a nice gesture, you're still on the hook for something here. So these are the types of things I was thinking of way in the beginning of my practice. And then I just started, speaking to more people who are in the industry. I started giving talks all over the country. And, eventually it just led me here.
For someone who's thinking about starting a pet business, do you recommend a certain roadmap they follow, or is there like a checklist? Even I saw you had quite a bit of content on your website. I didn't know if you have like a checklist that you recommend people follow.
Yeah, so I would recommend that before you start your pet business, not to talk to your friends or your family about it. As at least as far as the name or anything that would be related to your brand would go. The reason I'm saying that is oftentimes friends have ideas too, or they're looking for fun ideas. And when they don't have any of their own, they're gonna look to other people, and that other, person may be you. So then the friendship is ruined, obviously, but more so your potential to earn money is ruined, which really hurts your wallet, right? So I would say don't talk to friends or family about brand identity for your business, whatever you're thinking of, and then speak to an attorney that can guide you in the process of starting your business, right? Because without knowing the types of things you should be asking Google, without knowing what to type in, you won't know what is required, right? So if someone, for example, says, hey, I think I need an NDA, you'll type into Google, what is an NDA? Mm-hmm. Google's only going to give you the answers related to NDAs and not all the things that surround it that you should also be looking for. So I think that would be a good place where you should start. So as soon as you start thinking about starting a business, go to someone who can help you, throughout the whole process. So at least all the things that you have to do, and then you can start crossing them out.
If I haven't mentioned my business to anybody, and I've registered a domain name, and I'm starting to work out a brand identity. Should I be looking at doing a trademark then, or not me myself, but someone who's thinking about creating a business?
So trademarks work in two different ways, right? So the trademark, there's one way of which is basically reserving your name. So you can tell them that, hey, I'm hoping to use it in the future. So within 6 months, you'll have to provide proof that you're actually using it. Or the other way to do it is in use and commerce, which is basically, hey, I'm using it now and I'd like to basically lock down that name from others using it in the same manner. So there are two ways of doing it. So I have done both of those for my clients, which is why it's really important to sit down with someone, either it be physically or over the phone, to talk about your goals of your business, right? So you have an idea of what you can do or what you should do. Because those two things I discussed, or I just mentioned, whether you should reserve a name or whether you should just, do a use in commerce application, there are implications for both of those. And, depending on what it is you're looking to do with your business, the answer is going to be different.
Sort of related, but on the patent side, I was speaking with Wes Anderson, the creator of the Pet Tutor, the other day, and he actually has a patent for the technology that he's built into the Pet Tutor. Should folks be looking at getting a patent for their technology right away, or should they see if there's traction in the market for what they're offering?
Sure. So as a disclaimer, I don't practice patent law,
okay.
But I will tell you patents take a long time. My husband practices patent law, but it's for chemicals only. He doesn't do, pet stuff. He does more of the boring stuff that I don't handle, and it's for another firm. But it does take a very long time, and it's very costly. It's most costly, I would say, compared to the other types of intellectual property realm. So, to go back, yes, you should probably protect your invention as soon as you have the idea. That again goes back to not discussing your idea with anyone. So if it's a new technology that doesn't exist already, you should tell your lawyer before you talk to anyone else about it. It's cringeworthy, honestly. I have just a couple of weeks ago met with a client over a consultation. He brought in all his prototypes to show me, and I'm just, I was floored. He has great ideas, but he's carrying it around and showing it to everyone. He showed it to the front desk lady on the first floor to get into the building. I mean, he's so excited, he just couldn't help himself. But I understand the excitement, but you have to be smart about it. You have to know when to protect yourself and when to be excited and show that excitement to everyone else.
And with respect to existing businesses, are there common mistakes that you see frequently, or something you walk into the office and bang your head against the wall because it's another one of these type of examples happening?
Right. So there are a lot of issues that I see with existing businesses, not just, a few that pop up here and there. However, I would say the main one would be contract related, contract law. Yes. So, a lot of business is done with a handshake when you are a business owner, because you just don't have the time to sit there and, construct contracts to sign with your potential vendors or clients, whoever it may be. And then when the problem happens, each of you have your own version of what the truth is. And you have to, at that point, come to the middle and, figure it out. And that's where lawyers thrive, is, in that gray spot. So I would say have really good contracts for every aspect of your business, so that if something was to happen in the future, you can always fall back on that document and at least have a place where you can, mutually agree on a settlement of some sort.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if people should wait to contact you until after they've generated some sales, but I think I get the point that no, they should speak to you first.
I mean, they can do both, but what should they do? They should contact someone like myself before everything happens. The reason I say that is, when you start a business, the pressure on yourself is a lot. And I know that because I also started my practice on my own without any clients when I started. So I know how it is to go from 0 to, you know, where I am now. So the pressure in the beginning is tremendous. And what you should be doing at that time is to have insurance, quote unquote. And by that, I mean, how can you set yourself up so in the future your business doesn't have problems, or to the extent possible that you can mitigate your problems, right? So that is the best time in the beginning to have all your contracts in place, to have all your policies in place, to make sure your brand is protected. That time is not when you have become successful, because then you're already in the spotlight and people are looking to come at you at that point. And if everything is not zipped up and tied, by the time you get to that, you really have left a lot of things open. Those issues show up.
For folks who are building out their businesses or maybe gaining a little bit of traction, I know with a lot of the entrepreneurial information that's available through Google, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of sites recommend registering your entity as a Delaware C corporation. Is it recommended for pet industry startups to do that, or?
So that would really be dependent on each individual and their business goals. However, I think I understand where you're going with that question, and that everyone just assumes they should form a corporation in Delaware versus anywhere else, even if they're living in, you know, New York or New Jersey, whatever it may be. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. Apparently, people who come in with, this is for high growth startups, whether it's pet industry or whatever, VCs who come in later apparently feel much more comfortable with the registered Delaware corporation as opposed to any place else, if the information is correct online, which that's largely coming from Y Combinator, so I assume it's fairly accurate.
I wouldn't say VCs are always comfortable if it's in Delaware. I would not say that from my experience anyway. And the misinformation that's out there is, I think, very much tied to tax law. They think by somehow going to Delaware and forming a corporation there, even though their business goals do not align with forming a corporation in Delaware, and when they don't have any ties to Delaware other than this idea that taxes would be lower, they just assume they need to form a corporation in Delaware, which is not the case. It's only advisable under certain circumstances. And usually, if you want to keep your life simple, usually, again, I don't know everyone's situation that's listening to this recording, is, you know, if you want to keep everything simple, most likely you're not going to be paying that much taxes in the beginning anyway, and it makes more sense for you to have a business where you currently reside and will be doing business out of, because you may end up being double taxed if you have an entity in Delaware, right, versus where your business is actually located. But once again, you know, this is not legal advice. I'm just, you know, giving you.
Yes. For founders who might be interested in working with you, do you, in your practice, offer any packages for the most common types of business setup scenarios? Yeah,
absolutely, I do. So I have package deals which come out to be a little bit cheaper than if you were to do it a la carte. So it's, you know, something like a LLC and a trademark and a contractor. You know, so if we bundle them all together, I can offer a little bit of a discount because we're, you know, taking on the whole package. But I must also say that each package can be customized because not every business has the same needs. So based on what your needs are, we can, you know, discuss what a best package for you would be, and then you can go from there.
And for folks who might want to contact you, is there a recommended way to get in touch with you, or just get your information off the website?
I mean, you can get my information off the website. You can email me or call me. You know, either is fine, whichever is easier for you.
Any parting wisdom for pet industry founders or would-be founders, people who are thinking about starting a business?
You know, I think the best thing to leave you guys with would be that it's always good to know people. Whether you need their services and or goods or not, it's always good to know people and create meaningful connection. And once you do that, you're going to see the longer you're in business, the more you're going to be coming across these people whether they're directly related to the pet industry or not, because people tend to be in circles, often the similar types of circles, right? So if you're running into someone at an event that you have attended, chances are you're going to probably see that person down the road. So being nice and polite goes a long way. I know it's not legal advice, but
it's true though. It's crazy how
it's very useful.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't think people realize that just because I don't need you today, I may need you down the road. So it's good to create bridges, construct bridges instead of burning them.